My chosen one, this is your moment. September 30th, 2025, your divine new beginning. This is not just another day, not merely a turn of the calendar, but the sacred page marked for you before the world knew your name. Heaven has held this moment in reserve, waiting for the perfect alignment of your spirit's readiness, maturity, and divine timing. This is not a restart or a repeat. It is a holy unveiling, revealing the truth that has always burned within you. You are not returning to mend the past, but stepping forward to embody the fullness of what I have placed inside you, like a seed breaking through the soil to bloom in its destined season. The ground beneath you has felt unsteady, hasn't it? That quiet ache, the tension between what is and what could be. You've prayed in silence, waited through long nights, and carried questions no one else heard. You've survived trials that should have broken you, walked through confusion, delays, and doors that seemed sealed shut. Yet, you didn't falter. You kept moving forward, not by chance, but by my strength sustaining you. That endurance is your testimony, and September 30th is your reward, a divine timestamp, a spiritual marker where preparation meets acceleration. This acceleration doesn't overwhelm, it elevates, moving with the certainty of my purpose fulfilled, like a river finding its course after years of carving through stone. You've carried the weight of becoming, and now I am giving you wings to soar. You are not stumbling into this moment. You are drawn into it by my divine assignment, pulled by the version of you I've always seen, waiting to emerge. If this truth resonates in your soul, my chosen one, let it be known. Write 888 in the comments below, a sign that you feel my divine call anchoring you in this sacred moment. For too long, my chosen one, you've adjusted, waited, and dimmed your light to ease others' discomfort. You stayed silent to avoid conflict, shrank your presence so others wouldn't feel threatened, and bore burdens that were never yours to carry. But what if those moments of restraint were not weakness, but my refining fire, sharpening your discernment? Those seasons of holding back are ending. September 30th is not just a date, it's a divine appointment, written in my eternal plan, like a star fixed in the heavens. Can you feel it, that gentle pull, not loud but persistent, whispering, "It's time." That's my spirit stirring within you, urging you to rise, like a tide lifting a ship to sail. Have you noticed the air feels different lately? Your dreams are sharper, your thoughts clearer, your soul restless with purpose. This is no coincidence, it's my alignment. The atmosphere shifting as your life aligns with my divine timeline. You were never meant to blend in, though the world tried to render you invisible. You were not created to settle, despite circumstances pushing you toward mediocrity. Something within you resisted conformity, didn't it? That's because I wove a divine frequency into your soul, a purpose too vast for earthly molds, like a river too mighty to be contained by narrow banks. Your voice is returning now, not as a timid echo, but as a resonant call aligned with my will. Your path is clearing, your vision sharpening, the fog of doubt lifting. You're not just gaining clarity, you're reclaiming the truth of who you are. Like a masterpiece emerging from the sculptor's hands, everything that once broke you is now fueling your purpose, transforming pain into power, like a storm that nourishes the earth for new growth. What if I told you your finances, relationships, and ideas aren't falling apart but falling into my divine order? You're undergoing a sacred restructuring, a realignment of every part of your life to reflect my plan. Are you willing to release the familiar to embrace the holy, like a traveler letting go of old maps to follow a new path? Your delays were not denials, but my divine redirection, pruning you for a greater bloom, refining you for a mighty release. September 30th is marked in my spiritual realm as your moment of convergence, where my promises manifest. Conversations will shift, connections long dormant will reawaken, and opportunities you never sought will find you. These are not random. They are my orchestrated signs, like stars aligning to guide a weary traveler. You've been trained to see what others miss, to hear beyond words, like a shepherd attuned to the faintest call of the flock. Your insight, matured in quiet seasons, is ready to shine. The question is, will you claim what has always been yours? Will you trust that you need no worldly validation to walk in my assignment? Your steps have always followed my blueprint, even through detours, like a river finding its way despite winding paths. Your delays were not failures, but my divine timing, preserving you for this sacred hour. If my words stir your heart, write "I am ready," Lord, in the comments, declaring your trust in my divine plan. The air around September 30th will feel charged, not with chaos, but with my divine movement, like the stillness before a dawn that breaks with radiant light. What was hidden will be unveiled. What was delayed will arrive fully formed. The people, opportunities, and moments you encounter will feel orchestrated because they are. You are no longer swayed by circumstance, but moved by my calling. The key is not worldly preparation, but supernatural readiness. Knowing it's time, even if you can't yet see the full path, like a lamp lighting just the next step. Your spirit is aligned, your lamp burning bright, ready for my service. This is not just information, it's an activation, unlocking the faith, hope, and miracles within you, like a key turning in a long locked door. Stay with me to the end, for every word is a trumpet heralding your future, announcing your readiness. You're not entering this moment empty-handed. You carry wisdom forged in trials, strategies shaped by storms, and a presence refined in my fire, like gold purified to shine brighter. You're not behind. You're perfectly aligned. And September 30th is where alignment meets acceleration, declaring, the time is now. You've survived what others couldn't, and this new beginning is yours because you endured. Like a warrior emerging stronger from battle, you've been the one to adjust, to wait, to dim your light for others' comfort. But that season is over. September 30th is your divine appointment, not a chance occurrence, but a moment I've written in my eternal script. That inner whisper, persistent and holy, is my spirit saying, rise now. The restlessness in your soul, the vividness of your dreams, these are my signs, aligning your life with my purpose, like stars guiding a ship to shore. You were never meant to fade into the background, though the world tried to make you invisible. You were not created for mediocrity, despite pressures to conform. Your soul carries my divine spark, a frequency that disrupts the ordinary, like a melody that shifts the air. Your clarity is returning, not just as insight, but as your true self, resurrected from years of disappointment, like a phoenix rising from ashes. Your pain is now your purpose, fueling your path forward, transforming wounds into wells of wisdom. Your finances, relationships, and ideas are not crumbling. They are being reordered by my hand, like a puzzle coming together to reveal my design. Are you ready to let go of what's familiar to embrace what's holy, like a seed releasing its shell to grow? Your delays were my redirection, preparing you for this moment of divine convergence on September 30th. Opportunities will arise, connections will form, and doors will open, not by chance, but by my orchestration. You've learned to see what others overlook, to hear what's unspoken, like a prophet discerning truth in silence. Will you step into what I've prepared, trusting you need no worldly approval to fulfill my call? Your steps have followed my path, even through detours, like a river carving its destined course. If my voice echoes in your soul, write 777 in the comments, proclaiming your readiness to walk in my divine purpose. Your new beginning on September 30th is not just a shift, it's a spiritual earthquake, a turning point that redefines your life and legacy. You've quietly broken cycles of fear, limitation, and shame, disrupting patterns that held generations captive, like a chain shattered by a single blow. Your choices are rewriting your lineage, setting a new standard for those who follow, like a pioneer blazing a trail through uncharted lands. This intensity you feel is not mere pressure. It's my holy fire, preparing you for a greater purpose. You're shedding old identities built on fear, stepping into the truth of who I created you to be, like a butterfly emerging from its cocoon. This isn't about being fearless, but walking in faith, trusting my guidance even without every answer, like a traveler following a star through the night. Your courage is awakening, a holy fire in your chest declaring, I am called. On September 30th, your life will carry a new sound, a frequency that announces your identity before you speak, like a bell ringing clear across a valley. This sound will shift rooms, touch hearts, and precede you. For my favor travels faster than your steps. I have spoken over your life, and my word will not return empty. It will fulfill my purpose, like a seed that always blooms in its season. Your obedience is your power, moving with my assignment, not the world's applause, like a servant faithful to their master's call. You're not marching for attention, but walking in my purpose, creating a legacy that echoes through time. Every pain, delay, and closed door has led you here, to this sacred moment. You are not behind. You are right on time, aligned with my divine clock, like a star fixed in its orbit. Your favor now shines brighter than your words, your anointing stronger than your actions, radiating my power, like light breaking through dawn's darkness. This is your unveiling, where your life aligns with my eternal plan, tailored for you alone, like a garment fitted perfectly to its wearer. You've begged for signs, lingered in draining places hoping for change, but the shift is within you, my chosen one. When you see yourself as I see you, radiant, approved, divine, everything changes. Your vision becomes your rhythm, your alignment, your alignment, your life. You no longer chase, beg, or shrink. You align, receive, and rise, like a river flowing effortlessly to its destination. This is not arrogance, but my truth. A spiritual law as certain as the sunrise. On September 30th, I invite you to break free from survival patterns, from cycles that kept you barely breathing. You're not just surviving, you're soaring, blooming into the fullness of my purpose, like a tree bearing fruit in its season. Release the need to explain your elevation or apologize for your healing. Your clarity is your compass, guiding you forward, like a lantern lighting a dark path. For too long, you dimmed your light to avoid unsettling others. But that time is over. Your presence now commands respect, not through force, but through my certainty, like a mountain standing firm against the wind. You've outgrown spaces that confined you, and this new chapter demands your full presence, like a stage awaiting its star. Your silence was not weakness, but my strategy. Your stillness, my preparation. Your trials, my permission for expansion, like a seed growing strong in the dark before. It breaks into light. You were hidden to protect your greatness, preserved for this sacred moment. Now, your favor speaks, your anointing shines, and your power radiates, like a fire that warms all it touches. If this truth sets your spirit ablaze, write, Lord, I'm here in the comments, affirming your place in my divine plan. Your life is no longer about earning value, but remembering it. You are my masterpiece, created for good works I planned long ago, like a painting crafted with eternal care. Will you say yes to my call without needing every detail? Moving with faith, not fear. Your presence alone shifts atmospheres, parting waters, breaking chains, like a quiet storm reshaping the land. You are not common or replaceable. You are my chosen, called out of darkness into my marvelous light, like a star shining in the night sky. Stop waiting for permission. My approval is already yours. September 30th is your crossing point, your spiritual coronation, where you step into the fullness of my promise, like a king or queen claiming their throne. You didn't endure to merely survive, but to thrive. Radiant and unapologetic, every step you take now is ordered, not random, guided by my hand, like a path carved through a wilderness. Your gift, once overlooked, is rising, making room for you in places you've never been, like a seed sprouting in fertile ground. Your name is spoken where you've never stepped. Your vision remembered where it was once dismissed, because you remained loyal to my call. Your silence was my refinement, your trials my training, and now your steps are prophetic, moving with my purpose, like a dance aligned with divine rhythm. Doors will open without effort, people will be drawn without explanation, opportunities will arise without manipulation. For your life carries my signature, magnetic to my plan, like iron drawn to a magnet. You've broken cycles silently, disrupting fear, shame, and limitation, rewriting your legacy with every choice, like a builder laying a foundation for generations. Your intensity is my holy fire, preparing you to lead, not follow, to set the tone, not echo it, like a conductor leading an orchestra. You are not chasing trends, but transforming systems, reshaping the world with my truth, like a river carving new paths through stone. Your uniqueness is your strength, not a burden, celebrated in my presence, like a rare gem cherished for its brilliance. You no longer strive, you receive, sitting at the table I've prepared. not as a guest but as the honored one, like a host welcoming their destiny. Your light is enough, your presence sufficient, your truth undeniable. You shift dynamics by simply being, like a breeze that stirs a stagnant room. On September 30th, arise and shine, for my glory rests upon you, like dawn breaking over a sleeping world. Stop over-explaining to those unassigned to understand you. Your transformation demands a response, not an apology. Like a sunrise that needs no justification. You are sought after, no longer unseen, your silent prayers heard, your hidden cries answered. If my words ignite your soul, write 111 in the comments, declaring your unwavering faith in my promise. Your frequency has shifted, pulling you toward clarity, healing, and abundance. Like a compass finding true north, you no longer tolerate what drains you or shrink to be accepted. You see yourself as I do, radiant and whole. This is not arrogance but awakening, leading from wisdom, not wounds, like a warrior bearing scars as badges of honor. You transcend survival, moving with precision and fire, a storm of my making. You are the light, no longer hidden but bursting forth, like a flame that cannot be contained. You've outgrown fear's limits, stepping into my divine territory, glowing without guilt, shining without shrinking. This is your permission to be fully you, unapologetically aligned with my purpose. Your soul is too expansive for old confines, and September 30th is your rebirth, a new creation where the old has passed, and the new has come. Like spring following a long winter, your presence speaks before your words, your energy shifts rooms, your alignment announces your calling, like a herald proclaiming a king's arrival. You are not just surviving, you are my legacy, impacting the world whether applauded or not, like a seed that grows into a mighty tree. My chosen one, you are no longer circling confusion or delay. You are stepping into a realm where every step feels like home, where connections carry purpose, and ideas are sacred assignments, like notes in a divine symphony. Those denials were my redirections, those slow seasons my protection, preserving you for this moment, like a treasure guarded until its time. When doors swing open on September 30th, don't hesitate. Walk through with peace, speak your truth boldly, and show up fully. For my favor responds to your readiness, like a harvest ripe for reaping. Your voice is needed, not just your words but your frequency, reviving what's stale, restoring what's dying, like a spring bringing life to barren land. You were never meant to fit in but to lead, to set the tone, not echo it, like a bell ringing clear in silence. Your pain qualified you, your stillness equipped you, your delays anointed you, like a blade sharpened for its purpose. You are my masterpiece, walking in the good works I planned, a living testament to my faithfulness. If this truth burns within you, write, "My heart is yours," Lord, in the comments, sealing your commitment to my eternal purpose. As we close this sacred moment, know that you are no longer waiting. You are walking into my promises, embodying the answers to your whispered prayers. This is not just an arrival, but a revelation, where the world sees who I created you to be, like a star unveiled in the night sky. Every hidden battle, every quiet lesson was your consecration, preparing you for this divine unveiling. Your presence is your announcement, shifting atmospheres with my authority, like a quiet storm reshaping the land. You are not chasing, you are aligning, not seeking approval, but embodying my choice. September 30th is your crossing point, where you step into the fullness of my plan, a legacy that echoes beyond you, like a ripple spreading across a still lake. Walk boldly, my chosen one, for you are the revelation the world awaits, and your time is now, my chosen ones. I told you, September 30th, 2025 marks your new beginning. It is not just a date on a calendar. It is a divine line drawn in time. From that day forward, what was closed will open, what was delayed will accelerate, and what was broken will start to be rebuilt. This is the moment when heaven announces the old season is over and the new has begun. But let me be clear, stepping into a new beginning is not without a price. The weight of change awakens things in your spirit that most people could never endure. Shifts in your sleep, sudden restlessness in your soul, the sense that your body is carrying something unseen. These are not random. They are symptoms of awakening, signals that your spirit is aligning with the new destiny I set before you, and only the strongest of my chosen can carry it. Many will collapse under the pressure. Many will misinterpret the signs. But you are marked to understand them. That's why the next word you need to hear is this: only the most powerful experience this spiritual awakening symptom. Like a seed buried in soil, feeling the earth's pressure yet driven to reach for light. Your discontent is not weakness, but a call to grow. This pressure strengthens your roots, guiding you to embrace your true essence over fleeting comforts. Your discomfort is a quiet assurance of deeper purpose, a sign you are destined for more than surface existence. This awakening intensifies, a persistent ache whispering, "This isn't your path." It's an energetic mismatch. Your soul's frequency outgrows your current life, like a symphony through broken speakers. You see through illusions, hollow conversations, stale success, approval that feels like betrayal. Your calling began before your first breath, unbound by worldly rules, like a river breaking free. Your spirit flows toward authenticity, urging you to trust this courageous shift toward inner peace. Chosen ones don't chase applause, they seek real peace. Are you ready to walk away from false lights? You feel torn, longing for the comfort of the old life, but it no longer fits. Like outgrown shoes, every step hurts. The universe seals old doors, conversations fade, opportunities vanish, paths crumble. This isn't change. It's a departure from a false self. Your soul is reclaiming its original design, and there's no going back. Once you see the illusion, it's unshakable. Like a butterfly breaking from its cocoon, your struggles forge resilience, leading to freedom and purpose you never imagined. Why you? Because you carry truth with humility, love through brokenness, strength through darkness. Your path is a quiet revolution, inspiring others with your inner light. If this resonates, comment 111 to affirm your divine journey. This awakening shifts deeper, not in places or tasks, but in people. Relationships once effortless now strain. Friends, family, even partners feel distant, speaking different languages. This isn't superiority. Your soul is ascending, your energy rising, and not all rise with you. Familiar spaces feel foreign, a friction of shifting frequencies. You're not rejected, but recalibrated, your vibration out of sync with old connections. The universe acts, friends withdraw. Words are misread. Safe spaces suffocate. This pain tempts many to abandon their awakening, but your soul won't allow it. You push forward, driven by divine necessity, not pride, like a tree shedding leaves for new growth. This release creates space for soul-aligned connections. If you feel this, comment, "I am rising to declare your path." You're not losing people. You're being preserved from energies that hinder growth. Loneliness is a sacred womb, forming your next self in quiet, like a seed breaking open underground. This season of shedding clears space for kindred spirits who see your fire and stillness. Drawn by your light, the more you grow, the less you explain yourself. Not apathy, but alignment. You weren't sent to blend in, but to shift the room, break patterns, carry a covenant. Let those who distance themselves go. Honor the silence. You're not abandoned, but aligned. Not punished, but prepared. Your emergence is inevitable. Your tribe will find you by spirit. Comment 333 to honor this sacred alignment. Now, as your awakening matures and anchors itself deeper into your spirit, something quietly yet profoundly strange begins to happen. Your urge to prove yourself starts fading away, not because you have lost your passion, and certainly not because you have grown lazy or directionless, but because your soul is shifting from ego-driven survival to purpose-driven creation. You may still be successful, you may still have goals and dreams, but the obsessive hunger to dominate, to outperform, to be the loudest voice in the room or the most recognized name in the crowd begins to dissolve like mist under sunlight. And yes, at first, this can feel like you are losing your ambition. But are you really, or are you finally discovering a truer, purer ambition? One not rooted in applause, but in alignment. Have you noticed this shift within you, where once you chased trophies, now you chase truth? Where once you longed for accolades, now you long for authenticity. You are not losing your edge, you are just changing the battlefield. You have begun to understand that real power is not about being the best in a broken system. It is about being brave enough to build a new one. You are replacing the need to compete with the call to contribute. While others are scaling ladders, you are stepping off of them and asking, why are we climbing this in the first place? This is not apathy, this is spiritual evolution. And only the chosen feel this kind of reorientation. Consider how a river finds its way not by forcing through rock, but by flowing steadily and patiently, carving paths over time through persistence and natural grace. This metaphor encourages you to trust that your quieter drive is not a loss, but a gain in depth, guiding you toward contributions that endure and uplift, comforting you that true impact comes from alignment rather than aggression. Chosen ones do not shout their importance. Their presence speaks for them. This stage of your awakening brings you to a sacred realization. Your value never came from your resume, your follower count, or your net worth. It came from your spirit, from your story, from your scars and your stillness. And once your soul truly understands this, you stop begging systems for recognition that were never designed to honor your depth. Instead, you begin to withdraw from the race. Not because you are quitting, but because you have outgrown the prize. This does not mean you stop dreaming. It means you start dreaming differently. The dreams become less about me and more about we, less about climbing over others and more about lifting them, less about spotlight and more about substance. You begin asking yourself questions like, what legacy am I really leaving? What truth am I living? What change am I building that will outlast my name? This is when chosen ones truly start to separate from the crowd. While others are chasing visibility, you are chasing impact. While others are consumed with optics, you are focused on outcomes. While others are desperate for control, you are seeking divine alignment. You learn to move not out of pressure, but out of peace. And the wild thing is, once you stop chasing validation, real success finds you naturally, not because you are trying to be seen, but because your soul is finally shining without filters. Your rise will not come from hustling harder. It will come from surrendering deeper. And that surrender opens creative gates within you that ambition could never touch. You stop competing because your path is so unique. Comparison becomes irrelevant. You're not chasing recognition, but pulling heaven into your actions. You move lighter, build stronger, igniting rooms before you enter. Time begins to shift. 5 minutes feel like an hour, or an hour passes like a moment, as if your soul travels while your body stays still. This isn't distraction. It's your consciousness breaking free from linear time. Deadlines and routines feel suffocating, not grounding. This isn't irresponsibility, but initiation into divine flow, an ancient rhythm beyond clocks, like a flower blooming in sunlight's time, not a schedule. Your trust in this flow brings peace. You're not bound by the world's ticking. You're stepping into eternity, where I reside. Comment 5. 5 to embrace this divine timing. Your soul is awakening to a reality unshackled by time, guided by my eternal whisper. The deeper your awakening goes, the less power the past and future hold over you. Why? Because your spirit has started to live inside the now, the only place where I actually reside. And when you are rooted in the present, time as the world knows it begins to dissolve. Suddenly, life stops being a race to some destination and starts becoming a dance with eternity. That is what you are feeling now, eternity within you. Your body may still walk by the calendar, but your soul is listening to a different drumbeat. You are no longer operating on deadlines. You are following divine direction. You are sensing things before they happen. You are moving not by the logic of hours, but by the whispers of alignment. And yes, this may look like slowing down. It may look like stepping away from rigid goals or questioning systems that once made sense. But do not confuse this with apathy. It is not that you do not care. It is that your care has shifted from control to connection. Consider how a flower blooms not by forcing its petals open according to a schedule, but by responding to the gentle rhythm of sunlight and seasons, unfolding in perfect timing. This image guides you to embrace the flow, comforting you that trusting this inner pace leads to beauty and fulfillment far beyond hurried efforts. That is not introversion, it is intuitive necessity. Can you feel this shift within yourself? 2. That inner knowing that timing is not about force, it is about flow. This is where chosen ones begin to perceive reality multidimensionally. You no longer look at life as a sequence of events. You feel everything happening simultaneously. You begin trusting intuition over itinerary. You follow a sacred yes in your spirit. Even when the calendar says no, the universe begins to respond in kind. Synchronicities increase. Right people, right ideas, right opportunities appearing exactly when needed. Not a moment sooner or later. You find a book that answers a question you asked silently. You hear a song lyric that speaks to the very thought you were wrestling with. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations that you are syncing with a divine timeline that exists beyond the human clock. That verse becomes your posture. You stop chasing time and start submitting to my timing. And in doing so, you start noticing something strange. Everything begins to happen faster, even when you feel like you are doing less. That is the paradox of divine flow. When you stop pushing, life starts delivering. When you stop scheduling every second, heaven starts organizing your destiny. Have you ever felt that uncanny sense that things are unfolding exactly as they should without your striving? If you sense this truth awakening in you, please share in the comments by writing "I am in flow" to declare your alignment with this divine rhythm. The spark and a global phenomenon was born. Chosen ones do not measure time by clocks. They measure it by chiros, divine moments saturated with meaning. But this does not mean you become irresponsible or float through life aimlessly. It means you begin to listen to your own spiritual cadence. You make room for the unknown. You hold space for mystery. You no longer panic when things seem off schedule because you trust that divine timing cannot be rushed and it cannot be delayed. And in that surrender, you find peace, not because everything is predictable, but because you have stopped needing it to be. That verse becomes a resting place for your soul. It reminds you that every delay is divine, that every acceleration is sacred, that when you align with spirit, you are never behind. You are exactly where you need to be. Even if no one else understands it, even if the world says you are late, even if the timeline does not make sense, you are not behind schedule. You are in divine sequence. So, as your connection to linear time dissolves, do not panic, do not resist it. Let it wash over you like a wave of truth. You are not becoming disoriented. You are becoming multi-dimensional. You are not losing your place. You are finding your presence. And in that presence is where real miracles unfold. Suddenly, you will find yourself in the right place without planning it, saying the right thing without rehearsing it, meeting the right people without chasing them. That is not luck. That is the divine choreography of a chosen one who trusts their inner compass. Chosen ones. They start to feel the dots connecting while they are happening. They do not need full certainty. They just need full obedience. That is the frequency of flow. So if you are feeling out of sync with calendars, if your plans no longer excite you, if you are finding peace in presence more than productivity, rejoice. This is not the end of your ambition. It is the elevation of your awareness. You are not chasing life anymore. You are co-creating it second by sacred second. Time is no longer your master. It is now your servant. And as you walk this path, the more you let go of control, the more the divine will reveal its perfect order. You are not late. You are not early. You are right on time for a timeline the world cannot see, because you, my chosen one, are no longer bound to time. You are being carried by eternity. One of the strangest and most misunderstood symptoms of being a chosen one is this. You begin to crave solitude, not out of sadness, not from boredom, and certainly not because you feel unloved, but because something deep within you begins to ache for stillness. Even when you are surrounded by people who love you, who mean no harm, who bring joy, there is a whisper in your spirit that says, "Be still, come away, listen." You are not running from people. You are not rejecting connection. You are simply realizing that too much noise, no matter how well-meaning, begins to blur your spiritual signal. Have you ever felt completely exhausted after what should have been a fun, harmless gathering, or sensed that your energy, once clear and aligned, became cloudy just from absorbing the emotions of a room? That is not your imagination. That is your frequency tuning itself to something higher. This longing for solitude usually arrives after the energetic sensitivity phase. Once your soul starts discerning not just who you are around, but what their energy leaves behind. Even the most casual conversation can feel like static if it is not spiritually aligned. Even the kindest people can leave you feeling drained if their energy is scattered or unresolved. And that is when something in you starts to withdraw. Not in bitterness, not in judgment, but in sacred preservation. You stop craving crowds and start craving clarity. You unplug from constant notifications. You find joy in doing nothing, not because you are wasting time, but because you are allowing divine time to speak. You begin to understand that solitude is not isolation, it is invitation. An invitation into the realm where your soul is no longer distracted, distorted, or diluted. It is where you hear instructions not spoken by human voices, where your assignment becomes clear again, and where the divine whispers are louder than the world's demands. Have you ever had a moment where you were completely alone and yet felt more connected than ever? That is not emptiness. That is sacred presence. Imagine a quiet lake at dawn, its surface smooth and undisturbed, reflecting the sky with perfect clarity. This stillness allows for true reflection and renewal, guiding you to see solitude as a space where your spirit can recharge and receive profound insights. Chosen ones do not find their power in noise, they find it in stillness. That is why when you do return to the world, when you speak, when you move, when you act, it carries weight because it has been filtered through heaven. Behind the presence is preparation in quiet spaces. That is where the true work happens. That is where the spirit is restored. The world sees the performance, but chosen ones know the stillness that powers it. Are you starting to feel guilty for canceling plans that once excited you, for choosing quiet over conversation? Do not. That is not selfishness. It is sacred self-preservation. You are beginning to trust that not all presence is purposeful, that not all connection is nourishing. You are learning to say yes to your inner peace, even when others do not understand. And that is one of the bravest things a chosen one can do. You no longer chase company, you attract alignment. If even Christ needed solitude to recalibrate and receive instruction, how much more do you? You are not withdrawing from your mission. You are entering the inner chamber where your mission becomes clear. You do not always need a microphone. Sometimes you just need a mountain, a quiet room, a single journal, a walk under the stars. That is where divine downloads land. That is where your spiritual GPS recalibrates. You may wonder, is it okay that I do not want to be around people right now? Yes, more than okay. It is essential because stillness is not absence. It is spiritual absorption. It is the moment when heaven speaks and you have no distractions to misinterpret it. This is the season where you do not just rest your body. You remember your calling. You retrieve pieces of your soul that the world tried to scatter. And here is the great irony. The more solitude you allow, the more power you carry. When you do re-enter the world, you show up clearer, more grounded, less reactive. Your words have more weight. Your steps leave more impact. Because you did not just rest. You recharged at a spiritual voltage most people never touch. That is why when you speak, people pause. When you act, things shift. When you show up, the atmosphere changes. You are not just a person, you are a frequency. And that frequency was fine-tuned in solitude. Something begins rising inside you. And although it does not speak in words, its presence is undeniable. It is not loud in volume, but it is loud in truth. It is a pressure from the inside out, not the kind that overwhelms, but the kind that awakens. You cannot quite explain it to anyone, not even to yourself. You just know deeply, fiercely, without question. You did not come here just to wake up, pay bills, and repeat someone else's rhythm. You did not arrive in this lifetime merely to survive or exist in the shadows of what is expected. You came here to do something specific, something that only your soul has the blueprint for. But here is the part that twists the mind and stretches the heart. You do not yet know what it is, not fully, not clearly. It is not a job title. It is not a 5-year plan. It is something beyond language, something sacred that bubbles beneath the surface of your consciousness. Have you felt that aching clarity with no label, that sacred purpose with no name? And that is where the tension starts. You get flashes, visions in dreams, words that hit your heart out of nowhere. A moment of stillness that fills you with unshakable certainty, only for it all to fade when you try to hold on to it. You are not broken. You are being led. I am not withholding clarity from you. I am protecting your purity. You are not meant to have all the details yet. Why? Because if you saw the full vision before you were ready, your ego would try to build it by force, but now you are entering a phase few ever reach. Soul recognition without ego interference. You are beginning to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. And that kind of remembrance takes time, trust, and surrender. That becomes more than just comfort. It becomes confirmation. You may not know the whole plan, but I do. And that sense of not enough that you feel in your current job, your current label, your current routine, that is not ungratefulness, that is divine dissatisfaction. It is your spirit saying, I was made for more, not more fame, not more money, more meaning, more alignment, more truth. This is the season where many chosen ones begin to wrestle with their identity. You no longer feel connected to the roles you once embraced. The titles that once made you feel secure now feel like cages. The goals you once obsessed over now seem hollow. You are no longer chasing what the world calls success. You are craving what heaven calls obedience. And yes, that can feel confusing, especially when you cannot articulate it to anyone else. Friends may think you are being moody. Family may think you are throwing away your potential. But what they cannot see is that your soul is being reprogrammed, and only you can feel the instructions being downloaded in silence. Picture a compass needle spinning wildly before settling on true north. This initial disorientation is necessary to find the correct direction, encouraging you to trust that your inner pull, though unexplained, is leading you to a purpose that will bring profound peace and impact. That is the sign, that is the signal, that is your soul knocking on the door of your consciousness, asking to be let in. And the longer you ignore it, the louder it gets, not to torment you, but to transform you, because chosen ones are not allowed to settle, not because I am cruel, but because I am intentional. You were designed to carry something sacred, and that sacred thing cannot thrive in shallow soil. So I pull you deeper out of the comfortable, out of the conventional, into the mysterious. That is what is happening. You are hearing my voice, not in booming sentences, but in holy discomfort, in subtle shifts, in restless nights, and in sudden clarity. You are no longer moved by ego. You are moved by essence, and that essence is your compass now. Sometimes your mission will not be loud. Sometimes it will be deeply personal, quiet, sacred, hidden. But just because it is hidden does not mean it is not holy. So if you are feeling disconnected from your current reality, yet magnetically drawn to something you cannot define, trust that. That is not confusion. That is calibration. Your spirit is beginning to tune itself to your true assignment. And that assignment will not always come with applause. It will not always be understood, but it will always be yours. You may not be called to save the world in public, but you may be called to change someone's world in private. A conversation, a healing, a shift, a word in season that awakens something eternal in someone else. You will not always see the fruit immediately, but chosen ones do not move by sight. They move by spirit. That is, you called according to my purpose, not your plan, not the world's pattern. So, do not worry if your timeline does not make sense. Do not panic if your 5-year goal dissolves into divine mystery. You are not drifting. You are being drawn. And drawn things often feel like falling until you realize you have been caught by grace all along. This is the final layer, the last veil, the threshold that once crossed alters everything permanently. And once you step into this space, there is no going back. Not to who you were, not to who they thought you were, not to the diluted version of yourself that once fit so easily into conversations, into rooms, into expectations that were not built for your soul. When this layer activates, you lose the capacity to perform. You simply cannot fake it anymore. You cannot pretend to be interested in what no longer feeds your spirit. You cannot force smiles that feel like masks. You cannot sit through surface-level chatter when your spirit is wired for depth. You cannot present a watered-down version of yourself just to avoid making others uncomfortable. And yet, this is not rebellion. It is revelation. You are not becoming rude. You are becoming real. Have you felt this lately? That inner tension when you try to shrink to fit into old dynamics? That almost physical resistance in your body when you try to mute your truth for the sake of keeping the peace? That is not just personal preference. It is your soul refusing to betray itself. This is the layer where your spirit decides it will no longer pay the price of inauthenticity. And when you reach this point, the transformation is irreversible. Not because you are trying to prove something, but because faking it has simply become impossible. You have tasted freedom, and anything less than truth now feels like poison. This is not just about divine truth in theory. It is about your personal truth in practice, the truth of your voice, the truth of your presence, the truth of your energy when it walks into a room unapologetically whole. This truth sets you free from performance, from people-pleasing, from the need to be palatable. You are no longer filtering your spirit to be digestible for those still living in illusion. And while that freedom feels electric, it also comes with cost. Because once you begin showing up in your full essence, people begin responding differently. Some will feel uncomfortable. Your authenticity will mirror their avoidance. Your light will reveal their shadows. You may notice people pull back, criticize, or try to label your truth as too much, too intense, or too serious. That is not your burden. That is their discomfort meeting your alignment. But on the flip side, others will be magnetized, drawn in, awakened. There will be people who encounter the real you and finally feel safe enough to become real themselves. And that, my chosen one, is your true impact. You do not inspire people by being perfect. You liberate them by being real, like a clear stream flowing through a parched land. Your authenticity refreshes and nourishes without force, guiding others to their own sources of truth and encouraging you to embrace this role as a gentle yet powerful influence in the world. Are you beginning to sense that your authenticity may disturb some, but heal many? And here is where your power multiplies. You feel free, maybe for the first time in your life, free from pretending, free from explaining, free from the exhausting loop of trying to be liked instead of being true. You start moving from a place of inner conviction rather than external approval. You no longer ask, "Will they accept me if I show up as I am?" Instead, you declare, "I accept me." And that is enough. That shift changes everything, because authenticity is not just an act, it is an atmosphere. When you step into a room as your full self, you either activate people or you agitate them. Either way, something shifts, and that, my chosen one, is why your presence now feels like prophecy. This verse becomes your mirror. You stop living for applause and start living for alignment. You stop chasing validation and start embodying value, not the kind that is given to you, but the kind that was always in you, the kind that was buried beneath layers of conditioning, trauma, and social expectation. But now, it is rising, and when it rises, everything changes. This final layer strips you of the need to belong in places that require you to betray your essence. You would rather be alone in peace than surrounded in pretense. You would rather say less but mean more. You would rather lose the crowd and keep your soul. And that makes you dangerous to systems of manipulation, conformity, and control. Because authenticity is a rebellion in a world addicted to illusion. That is what happens when chosen ones reach this level of awakening. You stop needing a platform. You are the platform. You stop needing permission. You are the permission. You stop speaking to be heard. You speak because your voice carries frequency. And when the spirit rises in you, that freedom manifests as truth, And that truth, it will offend some and awaken others, but it will never leave things the same. Your smile, when authentic, becomes more powerful than a speech. Your silence, when rooted in truth, becomes louder than noise. You do not just enter rooms, you alter them because you are not performing anymore. You are embodying. So let people respond how they will. Let the uncomfortable turn away. Let the aligned draw near. Because you are not here to convince. You are here to transmit. You are not here to adapt. You are here to activate. You are not here to fit in. You are here to wake up. And every time you choose to be real over being accepted, you expand your capacity to carry your true assignment. This is the moment where you stop asking, "Will they like me?" and start asking, "Am I being honest with myself and me?" And when the answer is yes, you move forward, confident, untamed, light-filled, not always understood, but always authentic. Because once this layer is unlocked, once you have tasted the freedom of full embodiment, there is no pretending left in you, no shrinking, no twisting, no taming. You are no longer a mirror for others' expectations. You are a mirror of divine truth, and that truth, it cannot be silenced. You are not just awakened, you are revealed. You are not just seen, you are known by me, by your spirit, by the mission that brought you here. And now the world meets the real you, not the version you crafted for comfort, but the version you were called to become. Welcome to the final layer. This is the place where chosen ones rise. This is the deepest and most sacred symptom of a chosen one's awakening, the return to truth. It does not shout, it does not rush, it does not demand attention. It simply arrives softly but undeniably and rewrites everything from the inside out. You begin to feel it in your posture, your voice, your presence. You are no longer molding yourself to fit into frames others designed for you. You are no longer twisting your truth to gain approval or sculpting your personality to keep others comfortable. You are no longer willing to shrink just to be liked, welcomed, or included. Something within you has awakened so fully that pretending is no longer an option, and performance has no place in your presence. You are not grounded in ego. You are grounded in clarity. And this clarity, it does not complicate your life. It simplifies it. Suddenly, decisions that once kept you up at night become obvious. Boundaries that once felt hard to draw become second nature. You stop explaining your intuition. You stop second-guessing your discernment. You stop apologizing for existing, because once you truly remember who you are, who I made you to be, you lose all interest in being anyone else. You do not need a script. You do not need a strategy. You do not need to impress. You just need to be. And that kind of alignment does not come from information. It comes from revelation. Have you reached this moment, my chosen one? The moment when you realize that being misunderstood is better than being misaligned. That being real, even when it costs you popularity, is more nourishing than being praised for a version of yourself that is not true. This is the space where your awakening becomes permanent, not because you have figured everything out, but because you have stopped faking. You have surrendered the illusion. You have released the mask. And that surrender is the doorway to lasting transformation. You have stopped conforming. You are being transformed. And that transformation is not always visible on the outside. It is internal. It is energetic. It is foundational. It shifts how you see yourself, how you move through the world, how you define success, and how you relate to me. It recalibrates your values. It reorders your priorities. It restores your authority. Her refusal to give up her seat was not loud, but it was unshakably real. It was not a performance. It was a moment of divine alignment with truth. That one act of authenticity shifted history. She did not act like someone she was not. She remembered who she was. You may notice now that you can no longer tolerate anything inauthentic. Not in relationships, not in work, not in worship. You cannot sit in rooms that force you to shrink. You cannot agree with things that contradict your spirit. You cannot pretend to be okay just to keep the peace. And you know what? That makes you rare because the world is built on performance, on curated images, on calculated behavior, on doing the right thing even when it means abandoning your soul. But you have broken that spell. You have remembered the divine code within you. You have chosen clarity over comfort. And that choice changes everything. You are walking in that now. You are not trying to be flawless. You are choosing to be true. You are not trying to be impressive. You are choosing to be whole. You have released the fear of being too much. You have stopped negotiating your presence. You have realized that what makes you different is exactly what makes you divine. And let us be honest, this clarity can be isolating. The moment you stop performing, some people stop clapping. The moment you stop saying yes to what dishonors your spirit, people may accuse you of changing. My chosen one, you have not changed. You have returned. You have returned to your original design, and that return is your strength. Like a lighthouse standing firm against the waves, your authenticity shines steadily, guiding ships to safety even in storms, comforting you that while it may stand alone, its light reaches far and saves many without needing to move. Are you starting to feel this too? That unshakable knowing that your truth is more valuable than any spotlight? That alignment feels better than applause? That peace feels better than pretending? You are not being dramatic. You are being delivered from the lie that you had to earn love by being less of yourself. You are being restored to the you that speaks without fear, that sets boundaries without guilt, that stands tall without apology. You are no longer a slave to appearances. You are no longer performing for a seat at tables I never asked you to sit at. You are standing firm in your freedom, and in doing so,